Hey, deserving listeners. Today's episode is the first chapter in our deep dive on the JonBenet Ramsey story. Berto, you have been doing all the prep.
Well,
is it? Okay. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay.
It's just, it's not a simple topic.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. My name is Dr. Kirk. I'm a therapist and a professor.
My name is Humberto Castaneda, and I draw pictures of pretty rainbows.
And today's episode is the 2000th audio podcast episode. After 17 years, we just celebrated
That's crazy.
Our 17th.
2000.
Yeah. Now, the video side of things, I think there's maybe 4,000
Yeah,
videos.
but these are like podcasts.
Yeah, hour plus long. But anyway, I just thought it'd be kind of, and I think it's fitting.
a big deal.
You and I here in the studio and 17 years, and we're doing a deep dive, JonBenet Ramsey. So
it's a big deal, man.
Let's get into it. Start us off.
All right. Okay. So almost every video that I've watched, and I've watched so many videos, almost every channel that does these deep dives on the JonBenet, they always start with the following kind of disclaimer. This is a super convoluted, crazy story that no one knows all the answers to, and it's gonna be so long, and we could do a billion episodes, and we will never get close to anything, and that's always the disclaimers. And I'm here to tell you, I know why.
Oh, so is this like a Michael Jackson? Where are there camps of people that
there are camps, and of course I'm keeping, because like sort of what we did with the Menendez brothers is neither of us knew almost anything about it other than the name and the general idea, like these, and so it was really interesting. I would call it fun, but except such a dark topic. But it was interesting for me to first of all deep dive and learn, because I learned all these things. And then when we did it, it was also unfolding for you in real time because you didn't really know most of the things. And I think we're in a similar boat, because I think both of us don't know much or didn't know much about this.
Yeah, I do remember watching a mini news story about this years after the fact. But
so yeah, that would have been a little more than we had maybe on that.
I know a girl, I don't know how old, 5 or 6, 7, was
6, 7.
Okay, was murdered.
6, yeah.
And I shouldn't smile. She was murdered, and it was brutal, and it was horrible.
Yeah,
and there was and I know that there was a question as to whether or not the parents were the murderers or not, but that's pretty much all that I know.
And by the way, this is going to come up again. We've done these things before where sometimes I'm talking about some gruesome thing and I laugh or smile, and people are like, how can you be laughing and stuff? And, people just have different expressions and different ways to react. Oftentimes when I think something is egregious or crazy or top, sometimes my physical reaction is to be like, what the hell, like this kind of thing. So please do believe I don't find the core thing of what happened here, or pretty much almost any of this, legitimately funny. It's just that there are some things that are so mind-blowing and ridiculous that I might laugh, and you might think that I'm laughing at it, but I'm not.
Yeah, I think another reason why you laugh at times on the podcast is to lighten the mood. Your role in life, I think also in your family of origin, was to be that role, to smooth things over, make everyone happy and okay. And I think
so
as a part of that,
natural.
when it's tense, often even just about yourself, you'll just be talking about something that's tense for yourself, and you feel this, perhaps right-headed impulse to soften the mood for people.
Let out a little steam. Yeah.
But for sure, you don't have to do that. I mean...
Yeah. So I'm going to give the same kind of disclaimer. This is something I have watched so many sources, read so many things. So this happened in 1996. We're coming up on 30 years. There are people that have been investigating this since the beginning. They have written books. They have done, so there are people who have devoted their lives to this. And so it's impossible that we are going to cover everything or get all the little tiny details correct. So just brace yourselves. Just know that, yes, there's going to be a lot of inaccuracies, not intentional, of course, but that you're going to say, well, I read this other book and it turns out that this, fair enough. Put it in the comments. And second, I've targeted, we're going to do 6 episodes. And we literally could just spend the rest of our podcasting career just doing this. In fact, there are channels solely dedicated to this topic.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's all they do.
Well,
All right.
I'm intrigued.
Right. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the setting. This happened, it was 1996, Boulder, Colorado. Have you ever been to Boulder?
No.
Okay, I've been to Boulder. I had a manager who used to live there, and I went and visited. And
All I know about Boulder is that's where Mork and Mindy was.
Oh, was that in Boulder? I liked that show when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that show. I had the suspenders. I had a Nanny Nanu shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so this took place in Boulder, Colorado. Let's start the morning with some tougher bluff. How many murders do you think had happened already in 1996? By the time that this event takes place and this takes place, by the way, December 26th. So it's at the end of the year. Just ballpark.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
100?
Not a bad guess, but that's like low, right? It's like a big city. But here's the thing. Your instincts are right. It hadn't been 100. It had been 0.
0 recorded murders?
0 recorded murders up until December 26th.
That is bizarre.
So anyway, so that's the context. Boulder. So I've been there. It's a really nice little area, very granola, Everyone's riding bikes and everyone's skiing when there's snow out. Everyone's very outdoorsy. So I guess I'm not surprised, but I am surprised that it would have been 0.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, you put 100,000 people, which is the population of Boulder, and
maybe one got angry at some.
Yeah.
Now, just as a foreshadowing, what would be your maybe hunch about how much experience the Boulder Police Department might have with dealing with murders?
Yeah. Well, one, even if there were
a
number of murders already, these smaller towns tend to have trouble. Even bigger towns have trouble. But also the professionalism in the police force in even the 90s wasn't what it is today.
So that's the setting. The second part of the setting here is that family is JonBenet Ramsey, Patsy Ramsey. Those are the parents. And then they have a daughter and a son. The son is Burke Ramsey, who is 9 at this time, and their daughter, JonBenet Ramsey, who is 6 at the time. JonBenet was named after her dad, John Bennett. And this family is well off. JonBenet has a company that's like, I think that year had posted $1 billion in revenue or something like that. Now, he wasn't a billionaire, but his company was doing really well. They were very well off. They had like a yacht. They traveled, I think, in private planes, which either were chartered or something. So 1996, what were you up to in 1996?
Well, I was 25. I was in a band, and I was in the middle of graduate school to become a therapist. I started in 95.
Do you remember anything? I mean, like that holiday season, that Christmas. Do you have any memories of that?
Christmas 96?
Yeah, Christmas 96.
No.
Okay, so
I should say that the biggest thing, and it was a big thing for me and my family, was that Alina was born in 96.
Oh.
They entered the family.
Yeah.
And Alina works for psychology in Seattle.
Yeah.
And by the way, they just got accepted an internship that they're starting.
Oh my God.
In January. Yeah, big deal.
That's amazing.
But yeah, 1996 was when the famous Alina Honda was born. The future best therapist on the planet.
That's amazing. What do you remember about computers that year?
Oh, not much.
Did you own a computer?
Yeah, I must have, right, to write papers for school.
Did you own a PC or a Mac?
PC, and I think it was a Pentium 90.
Okay. Oh, that was pretty high end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the time.
I think at the time I still had a 386 DX, which was before the Pentiums.
Yeah.
We got to remember a few things. The internet, other than people in college like us, like people didn't know about the internet really yet. It was there, but it was nowhere near what it was to become even 5 years later.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
People talk about the internet being in the late 90s, and yeah, the internet existed, but it was basically useless because there weren't very many websites. There were businessy kind of things like behind the scenes for billing or something, but it wasn't used very much, and email was a thing, but I would maybe get one email a month because people were used to calling or just talking to you.
And there was no spam yet. Oh,
yeah.
The nice days. So this is one thing that we're going to have to keep in mind with this whole case is we're not talking about an age where everyone's got cell phones, everyone's got recording devices all over the house, internet searches, Wikipedia, none of that. What we're talking about is like tape recorders. Did you take the camera out? Did we develop the film? Oh no, the film's still in there. Oh, we're out of photos. We can't take another photo. These kinds of situations, right? Now, this was a well-off family, so they had more devices than your average maybe family. They had more recording things like that. But because a lot of times folks say like, why isn't there a record of this? Why isn't there more pictures? And that just wasn't as common back then. Okay, so I want to start by watching a video. And this is way before this. This is kind of a compilation of footage from 1993 and 1994 from Christmas. And I want to really start with this because this is going to show us little JonBenet, which at the end of the day is the thing that no one disputes, which is that this little cute little 6-year-old future possibilities full of life girl died. That happened. Yeah. And so I want to see her before that,
So we watched the video, but the audio comes in and out. And also, since a lot of people are going to be listening to this on an audio podcast, I'll just have you describe the video that we're watching here. I mean, it looks like a very typical, but, maybe upper class Christmas morning.
Right.
You have the two parents and the two young kids, and we see JonBenet getting all these dolls. And
this footage, it would have been from 1993, which means she was 4 at the time. A couple interesting things is one of the toys she received that year was a kind of life-sized imitation doll. They would make these dolls, they might still make them, where they were meant to look quote, exactly like the little kid. That's what she was holding.
Yeah.
And those can be quite unnerving. There were reports later that she actually didn't like that it made her uncomfortable. Yeah. But anyways, that was one of the gifts she got. And then you see, but otherwise, like the footage is like this, looks like a loving family unwrapping great number of gifts. Yeah, it definitely looks, they're not suffering for lack of gifts in that case. But they're enjoying their Christmas morning. They're wearing their little Christmas sweaters or their jammies, and they're having fun unwrapping their gifts. And this was, like, if you had seen this footage, I can't imagine a single person in the world that would look at that footage and be like, oh yeah, that little girl, that something bad's coming their way. This looks completely normal and nice.
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning, about at the center of this story, you have this young person, very young child that was killed, right?
Yeah.
Because up until this morning when I was really thinking about it, it almost feels like she's still alive because she's a famous person, right?
Right.
But there's a human being, an innocent child that was harmed.
And it's insane to think that if she were alive, she'd only be 35 right now.
Yeah.
She's like way younger than us. She would just be now entering her mid-30s, like maybe a professional with maybe a family of her own and things like this. Okay, so that's the setup. We have this beautiful family. So now here's what happens. On December 26th, 1996, we're going to run through some important things that lead up to what happens here. At 12 a.m., a neighbor sees lights at the Ramseys. So they report later, when they're being interviewed by the police and whatnot. The neighbor's name is Scott Gibbons, looked out his kitchen window at the Ramsey residence and observed that the upper kitchen lights were on and dimmed low. Now, a lot of people leave kitchen lights on, but they mentioned that this was unusual. They normally wouldn't see lights at that time. But some context, they had been at Christmas parties and they were packing for a trip the next day. And so it's possible someone was just up and getting some water and stuff. So at 1 a.m., a different neighbor, Adam and Luke Vermeer, went to bed. They said they didn't notice or hear anything unusual. So this is 1 a.m. So it's kind of a counterfactual, nothing special to report. But at 2 a.m., a different neighbor, Melody Stanton, hears a scream. She goes on to describe this as a little girl's scream at 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, no one else can verify this. There's no other neighbors that say, yeah, I heard that too. The Ramseys don't report that. They say they slept through the night. But this neighbor says they heard that. 5:30 a.m., John Ramsey and Patsy Ramsey awake. It sounds like John woke up and then Patsy a few minutes later wakes up.
Can I ask the neighbor that heard the scream, why was she up at 2 a.m.? I mean, I'm almost always up.
Right. She says she was awakened by the scream.
Well, that's silly. because, I mean, unless the scream is long.
Continued, yeah.
Which, did she mention that?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that she...
Like, if they're screaming, then you
she
wake
woke up and she heard, and she's like, what is that? And she thought it was a little girl scream.
Yeah.
Now, and she states that, but she knew that the Ramseys were home, so then she assumed they would deal with whatever was happening.
Yeah. The other detail here, I think, is that since they live in a nice neighborhood, there's a lot of space in between the houses, right?
That's right.
They're not very close together.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are big, and we'll go over that a little later. It's a big house. It's an unusually big house. Okay. So at 5:30 a.m., John Ramsey awakes, Patsy Ramsey awakes. Now, while Mr. Ramsey's taking a shower, Patsy says, now, and then we'll get to this, but there's two different versions of what happens next. Version 1, which is the one that Patsy stood by the rest of her time, is that she says that she puts on the same clothes she was wearing the night before, which is unclear why, but she says she does that, and goes down a spiral staircase that leads from their bedroom down to the bottom, or from the second floor down to the bottom. And at the bottom of the stairs, she sees 3 pieces of paper, and they're laid out kind of neatly, and she's confused by it, and she reports reading that it says, she starts reading and says, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. By the way, there's a lot more to this note, and we'll get to that in a bit. But that's what she says.
What the hell?
Yeah. So
a secret, what is it? Foreign what?
We will
read it. Read that again.
Yeah. Okay. I'll read this part again. Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your business.
Wait, can we just drill down on that phrase? A small foreign faction? What does that even mean? Some foreign group.
These are great questions you're asking.
Like Canadian vegans or something.
Yeah, these are great questions. We will talk more about that in a bit. Okay. They also say, we do respect your business. B-U-S-S-I.
B-U-S-S-I.
Yeah, instead of B-U-I-S.
Extra S.
Yeah. Bussiness. At this time, we have your daughter. Oh, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. So it's 1 S on the first one, 2 S's on the second one. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. This is only the beginning of this note, by the way. But Patsy Ramsey states that she didn't read the whole thing. She has also even stated that she's not even sure she grabbed the note, which is confusing because I don't know how she read it. She might have leaned down to read it or whatever, but she's unclear on that. But at the very least, she claims she didn't read the rest of the note. She says she only read the first sentence. That couldn't quite be because the first sentence doesn't say that they have the daughter, so she must have meant the first couple sentences. And that then she ran upstairs to check on JonBenet's room to see if she was there. There's a different version of the story that's actually the one she told the first 2 cops on the scene, which was that she first woke up, went to check in on the kids and checked in on JonBenet's room, didn't see her, panicked, ran downstairs, and then saw the note. But anyways, either way, she comes upstairs, doesn't see JonBenet in the bed, so then she legitimately freaks out and screams. At this point, John hears the scream, comes out, what's going on? And she says, she starts saying, hey, this is what's happening, blah, blah. So Mr. Ramsey goes downstairs and they state that he starts reading the ransom note.
So just to not spoil, obviously, but...
By the way, there's no spoiling.
Right.
There's nothing you can do that will spoil anything in this case.
Okay.
This case is so ridiculous.
So along these lines, I'm gathering that today, in terms of the camps you referred to earlier, are adamantly on one side or the other as to whether or not the parents killed her. Right? Is that right?
That's at the very least, yes.
And that hasn't been clearly established.
No. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
We will go through 6 episodes, and we could go through 60 or 600, and we will not solve this case.
Okay. But we might have opinions.
Yes.
And the reason why I want to point this out is so that it's clear as to why you're laying out these stories,
Right.
because this is the data that people are poring over,
Yeah.
trying to figure out if
Right.
there's inconsistencies or that kind of thing.
It's funny because when we covered the Menendez brothers, it wasn't a whodunit, right? It could have been. They could have been adamantly saying it was some intruder.
It was a why done it, essentially.
Exactly.
Or
And so,
is it okay done it?
And we still were left with mysteries, right? At the end, even after everything, we were left with mysteries. Oh, and by the way, I'm sure you heard that they didn't get paroled.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
So in the end, we were left with, but the mystery was different. Like, well, what did happen to them? Were they abused? All these things. This one is kind of all of the above. It's a who done it and why done it. Like Okay, so this happens. Mr. Ramsey then goes downstairs, starts reading the ransom note. According to them, they have a discussion. He says to call the police, so she calls the police, and we will review that call in a bit. But first, let's go back to the note, because now Mr. Ramsey's reading it. Now,
Let's take a break first.
let's take a break.
All right, we're back from the break. Take it away, Berto.
Okay, so now I'm going to read this note to you. This has been labeled by a lot of police and people with experience in kidnappings as the longest kidnapping note that they've seen. This thing has no business being this long. And I'm laughing because you'll see. You're already seeing a little bit of the ridiculousness here, but catch this. So I'll start over. Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your buzziness, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession, as she is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. 100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining 18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence earlier delivery pickup of your daughter. Okay, let me pause here because I'm not done, but tell me your thoughts.
Well, it's a tragedy what we're talking about, but this is like an SNL skit or something. Like, you might want to wear socks because it's kind of cold out. So make sure that you dress appropriately, because if you're cold, then you might not be able to get all the money.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
The delivery will be exhausting.
Yeah. Well, and then bring a big enough attaché case. And I'm thinking, so you can give me the briefcase no, they're just advising on make sure that you bring a big enough bag to the bank so that you can bring all the money home. And then you're going to put all the money in a paper bag. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. How
big of a brown paper? Because usually when you think brown paper bag, we're thinking of like a lunch.
Right.
But if we're talking about a briefcase full of cash, then it's got to be like a grocery brown paper bag.
Yeah, I mean, 100,000 in $100 bills is 1,000 hundreds.
Yeah.
And 18,000 in 20s. Yeah. That's a lot of bills.
And then why $118,000? And you were joking earlier, like 118 million. So this is sort of like a Dr. Evil thing,
Right.
$1 million. And it's like, okay.
Did you wake up from a deep cryo freeze?
Now, you could see someone strategizing that it would be easier to attain. Back then, a rich person would have less cash because inflation, blah, blah, blah. But so you figure, well, you probably have that much money in the bank. But it also is just kind of weird, right?
It's an odd request.
I mean, obviously, someone who kills someone is going to be odd. But then, of course, I'm projecting ahead, thinking that, okay, so people are thinking the parents did it, so they think that they manufactured this note, and you think, if that was the case, then what a weird note to make. The detail of how long it was.
Right.
Like, they're proposing the parents would be saying, well, obviously, the guy must have written the note prior to coming, right?
Right.
So That's particular.
You would think you'd do that, right? Like we've got this plan. We're going to kidnap this kid.
Right, yeah.
Okay, let's figure out. Right, you would think you just like plan this maybe? Okay.
Right. But it also just kind of sounds like someone who's not right in the head.
Right. So and that could be an easy
That's the technical
explanation.
term. Yeah.
Not right in the head.
Yeah.
That is the definition. Now, quick question. Any guesses or bets or whatever on why 118,000? Why that specific number?
I don't know. Why?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. There is an answer. So, next paragraph. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you. And by the way, a couple little details about the note, because I'm reading it, but it was handwritten. We'll get to that. Earlier when I said an earlier delivery pickup of your daughter, delivery was crossed out, and then they wrote pickup. Like they said, an earlier delivery of your daughter, as if they said, wait, are we going to deliver the daughter? No, we want him to pick up. So they crossed out delivery and wrote up pickup. So at the very least, you can maybe guess these kidnappers are not like veterans of the kidnapping world. You know, like maybe they haven't been doing this for 20 years.
Or veterans of the English language.
Yeah, okay.
But also, they mentioned two men. The two men meaning themselves.
The two gentlemen watch. Well, we don't know how many people are involved in this conspiracy.
Right. I thought they were referring to...
The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you. And so another little detail.
Oh, really? So the kidnappers of my child, they're not like my best friends? They
could have been, I guess.
They don't particularly like
Not
you?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
Not particularly. We misspell things like, words like buzziness and possession, but we have attaches, and we don't particularly like you. But,
Yeah, so...
I'm obviously showing my cards a little bit.
Well,
here, but
not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you're getting.
I'm just saying, like, clearly you and I both immediately go like, what?
Yeah. So I have three hypotheses that are developing. One is that it was the parents, and they are constructing this note. And back then, because of the lack of the internet to some extent, you wouldn't be able to research like what's a typical ransom note, and so they had they were trying to play the foreign card, and they're manufacturing these misspellings, but they can't help but to reveal terms like attaché case, where most people would say briefcase or something, or
brown paper bag,
right. And sometimes people will do this sort of thing because they're trying to pay off a debt, like with Fargo, the movie.
Right.
You stage something, and you're trying to get money from the other spouse or something.
Right.
Or it was the kidnappers, and they're just not bright or sane individuals, or the kidnappers are bright and sane and are trying to throw people off the scent by manufacturing this odd way of speaking or something. So those are the three hypotheses I have so far.
Yeah. Those are good. Okay. And so the other thing I was going to add, that was another particular thing, and we're going to look at an image of the note in a minute. When it says the two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, they originally wrote do particularly like you, and then put a little knot on top between the words do and particularly. Like they're writing and they're like, wait, no, they don't particularly. So not. So I advise you not to provoke them. Very important. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. It's a very specific threat. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics.
I will say that this sounds legitimately like someone who kidnapped, and they have seen enough movies to know about wires and this sort of thing, and they're just trying to get money. I mean, and I would be surprised if the parents would have that much detail and that specificity, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they knew to sprinkle that sort of thing in, but it seems like someone is saying, look, I need the money. Everything will be fine. But if you stray from if you call the cops and you talk to a stray dog,
if you talk to a stray dog,
there's also kind of a consistent oddness to the speech, which I'd be curious if either of the parents are a little odd. Yeah. But you could also see the parents thinking, ooh, sprinkle in some weirdness. Or I don't know. But as you're reading it, I'd be surprised if in 1996 any sort of suburban parents would be able to come up with that much specificity in the note. Although there are movies that have this sort of thing, right? Whether it's a comedy or otherwise. So I don't know. I'm already trying to figure out who did it.
You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions and you stand, can you guess, 100% chance of getting her back. So it's pretty good. 99% chance of killing your daughter or 100% chance of getting her back. Very clear. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult.
Yeah, it sounds like if this is an actual kidnapper that he knows the family. I'm assuming.
Because it started with a Mr. Ramsey. Sorry. At the very top of the note, it said, Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully.
Right.
Here it switches to, don't try to grow a brain, John.
Right.
You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult.
And it would be weird if it wasn't someone that at least knew the family to some extent, because how would you even know JonBenet existed? How would you know how to get into the house, that kind of thing? So if it is a kidnapper, it sounds like someone close. And I'm also assuming if it is a kidnapper, it's one person trying to act like they're a group of people.
Well, it's a small foreign faction. No disrespect to small foreign faction. Okay. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John! Exclamation mark. Wow. And then it is signed, Victory! Exclamation mark. SBTC.
I'm guessing we never find out what that means.
Isn't it obvious? Of course we don't find out. No, it could mean
I'm assuming
anything. There's a billion theories.
Yeah. I mean, the way it sounds, it's either someone with some grandiosity or they're trying to throw people off the scent, or they're literally delusional.
Yeah.
And they think in their state that they are a part of some grand foreign group called SBTC.
SBTC.
Yeah.
Southern Baptist Teutonic Coalition.
Oh.
So that's the note. That's the note that...
Wow.
That's the note.
What?
I
don't know. I'm not super into true crime, but
yeah,
I've never heard of a note.
No one has ever. Yeah. No one's ever heard of these kinds of notes. No, normally ransom notes
so many weird
are short
details.
To the point, or they're like, oh, by the way, it's handwritten. It's not the usual pasting of the little letters from the newspaper or whatever. It's handwritten.
Yeah.
Okay, I sent you a picture of the note.
All right, so what are we looking at here, bro?
Okay, so this is page 1 of the note. Again, it was in 3 separate pieces of paper. By the way, you should know that the pieces of paper came from a pad of paper that belonged to the Ramseys that were in the kitchen.
Oh.
You should also know that the marker used to write the note also belongs to the Ramseys.
Weird.
It was a felt tip, like a thick kind of marker, felt tip pen or whatever.
It's also kind of shaky.
Right.
Which could be interpreted as someone trying to throw someone off of...
Right.
And really anyone writing it would have that motivation.
Well, a couple interesting things. If you look at the last page, which is page 3, a lot of people have pointed out that it gets less shaky towards the latter half or latter parts of the note.
Yeah.
So it's almost like someone maybe got tired of writing with their left or got tired of making it look bad or whatever. So the other thing about it is, of course, it's handwritten. So can't you just do handwriting analysis?
Well, handwriting analysis...
Mr. Honda, in the movies, they do handwriting analysis.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say is the research shows that for experts in handwriting analysis, that they can sometimes, it helps.
It helps.
But it's definitely not a slam dunk.
And this is where we're at, that basically, I'm not going to spoil too much, but I'm going to say there's no conclusive proof of who wrote this thing. But it was their pad and it was their pen. That was much. That much is true.
Which is bizarre because it's such a long, although it was hastily written because whoever wrote it was going, oh, I didn't have the not in there. So I've, so, and there's words. So someone was writing it because I was thinking why not just rewrite it?
Right. Another thing on that, on the same pad of paper, it looked like someone had started the note on a separate piece of paper because it said Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey. And then they apparently decided to just address it to Mr. Ramsey.
Right.
So there was already like a rough draft that they started and never finished. And it was just the title. And then they started this one.
And you could also see the parents. I mean, it would really be a double move for the parents to use their own pad and pen because everyone would point to them as writing the note, right? The parents.
Unless you're getting super double smart and you're like, well, yeah, because like, why would we do that?
Right.
Yeah.
So that kind of lends itself to not being the parents.
The thing that everyone points out about this case, and I'm going to point out redundantly, basically everything I'm going to say in this podcast has been said before, but the thing I'm going to point out is that everything you feel you could get your finger on, you're like, okay, I've got a thing. Someone can point or like move it slightly out of focus and you're like, oh no, you're right. That's a different way to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's no slam dunk indication of anything at this point.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, so what we see here is a handwritten note. And like we said, like you pointed out, and everyone's noticed this as well, at the start of the note, it seems a lot more shaky, and maybe that goes along with the mental state of the person as they start, whatever. The other thing to note is that they signed it specifically, right? I mean, obviously it wasn't specific, like my name is blah, blah, blah. You could find me at this address, but they did sign it. And that to me, I could go many ways with it, but one of them would be like, well, maybe that's in the mythology of whoever's writing this. They're like, well, it's got to be some foreign faction. But if we like name it explicitly, they could like try to investigate that and then be like, so why don't we just call it something that no one can figure out,
Right.
Or it is a little Easter egg or something. Like it's so bizarre. Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, it sounds like this person, if it was not the parents, is not a serial criminal.
Yeah.
So certainly either the person is grandiose, like I said, in a manic state. They're like, I am this awesome foreign faction, or delusional, or they're trying to throw people off the scent.
Yeah.
Or
they are a foreign faction that's never done this before, and they're just getting their start. You got to be a little bit. You can't expect foreign factions to be good.
If it is a foreign faction, they're not extremely sophisticated.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a small foreign faction.
Right. It's the Canadian vegans.
Hey, don't throw our vegan bros on. Okay. Would it surprise you to learn that when you go through the note, I mean, you pointed this out, there are some almost literal quotes that come from movies.
No, I did. Was there?
Well, so here's the list. Other people have pointed more and stuff like that. Some of these are stretches for sure, but some of them are literally. Okay, so in the note, it says, don't try to grow a brain, John. Okay. In Speed, which is a 1994 movie, what's his name? Dennis Hopper says, do not attempt to grow a brain. It's a very specific kind of thing. I don't know. Was that a common saying when we were growing up? Like, dude, don't try to grow a brain. Maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't remember that.
It's kind of specific.
He says that to what's-her-face?
Yeah, to...
Miss Congeniality.
Yeah, okay, the second part, you will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills. Remaining blah, 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 blah. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. Okay. Ruthless People, which you were saying, and comedies, right? Ruthless People has, put it in a black briefcase. You will place $500,000 in unmarked, non-sequentially numbered. So it's not exact quote, but people were pointing out, like, feel like someone, like you said, like someone watched a lot of movies and they're like, I think this is how you do it. But there is another ruthless people part that's even closer, which is that they say, any deviation of my instructions will result from immediate execution of your daughter, speaking to anyone with situation. And in ruthless people, it says, if you notify the police, your wife will be killed. If you notify the media, she will be killed. If you deviate from my instructions in any way whatsoever, she will be killed. So that kind of like refrain of she will be killed, she will be killed, she will be killed comes from ruthless people. The one Dirty Harry thing that does ring, like someone was referencing it, is if we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. And in Dirty Harry, if you talk to anyone, I don't care if it's a Pekingese pissing against a lamppost, the girl dies. So it's one of these like...
You say Pekingese?
Pekingese.
Pekingese?
Pekingese, is that how you say it? It's a
so.
dog, I guess.
Yeah.
So in Dirty Harry, there's a reference like if you talk to a dog, she dies. I mean, they add more words. So it's interesting.
That was a very specific line in the note.
Yeah.
That it seems like either unconsciously, so, why would stray dog...
What was this small foreign faction, a fan of American movies, and they were like, well, let's pepper it in? Or was this person who's not right in the head a fan of movies and like, this is how it's done?
Or were the parents trying to throw people off the scent by having movie quotes? Or were the parents watching these movies? I mean, I guess that would be the thing. If they had rented Ruthless People and Dirty Harry and Speed VHS in the last 6 months, then that wouldn't help their case, I guess.
Right. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so I want to
let's take a break, and as usual, since the patrons are the ones that request these kinds of episodes, and they literally pay my bills, we want to reward them with the full episode of each chapter. So we'll take a break of this. The rest of this episode will be for patrons of the podcast.
That's right. And in this part of the episode, we're going to find all about, like, once the police and the FBI get involved, like the massive search for JonBenet.
Okay. But if you're not a patron, we'll say goodbye for now. Tune in next time when we continue with chapter 2. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because
you deserve it.